This is the Best of Mike and Mike podcast on ESPNRadio.com. The Best of Mike and Mike.
Hey, it's Golic. Thanks for checking out the Best of Mike and Mike podcast. Here's what we got for you from Monday. Dari Nowkhah and I react to what we saw over the weekend at the Open before the Monday finish. Your questions for Grill Golic. Favre returns to Green Bay, plus Les Miles and Nick Saban.
The Best of Mike and Mike.
Good Monday morning to you. It is Mike and Mike on ESPN Radio. Always presented by Progressive Insurance. Everybody joins us via the Subway Fresh Take Hotline. No Greenie. So you get, Golic, you get a touring co-host here. I haven't done a show in Bristol in 4 years, so forgive me here. It's been in Charlotte the whole time. Dari Nowkhah here for Greenie.
But I know you do the Saturday show with Mel, so do I look anything different than Mel? I mean, I don't have the hair of Mel. I don't have the voice of Mel because Frank Caliendo hasn't imitated me yet.
Nailed it. He's nailed Mel.
Yeah, he's got Mel down pretty good. So a little different there with the co-host, right?
Well, you look as handsome as I ever thought you did on television, Golic.
That's all because of Hopi and the makeup in there and the overuse of gel in my hair as he likes to use at times.
Oh, yeah. That's Hope. That's not you putting the gel in.
Mad at me now. I see you down in Charlotte now, so I love it down there.
Love
nice
it
down there.
SEC Network.
As a matter of fact, we have Les Miles and Nick Saban on today later in the show in the 9 o'clock hour in Eastern time, but you talked to them both last week, correct?
Hoover, Alabama, the zoo that is SEC Media Days, Golic. I'm telling you, sometime in your life.
It's got to be unbelievable.
It's incredible. 1,200 media members in this hotel that is attached to a mall. 4 days, unless you go to dinner somewhere outside of the mall, you don't even leave the building. You're inside, insulated here. It is a zoo, but it's great. It feeds into the drama that is the SEC, even when they don't win the national.
Seriously, there's drama in the SEC?
Just a little bit of drama.
On.
It's 4 days, and can you believe 4 days?
But they fill it. They could probably use more days. Huh?
Don't give them the idea. We don't need more. 4 is good.
Well, I appreciate you sitting in today for Greenie, who like most of us, you and I will be watching it on the go, but everybody's going to be sitting around watching some golf, I would think.
That's one of the things. Saturday, they end up blowing off round 3, and I know the spectators there that were going to go were upset. I'm thinking you and I are going to get to watch golf live during Mike and Mike on Monday. I was thrilled with it. I feel bad for the people that have to work across the pond.
Well, I feel bad maybe for the bosses of the productivity of work. Now, again, it's the top guys don't tee off till right around 9:30 our time, so it's going to go into the afternoon. So, I think the bosses wondering about the productivity as everybody is on their app. ESPN will have the coverage. It started 2 minutes ago, and it will be complete through the conclusion of the Open. All I have to say, I mean, the extra golf today is great. But I don't know about you, Dari, but I'm listen, I golf 5 times a year. Greenie golfs 5 times a week.
I'm probably less than you.
Okay. Yeah. So Greenie loves it and the beauty of the game, and I get all that. I understand that. I give him a hard time about it and such. But whenever we get to the Open, I always talk about how I want this thing to be a mess. Yeah. I want these guys to feel like I feel, playing on a weekend somewhere, knocking into the woods or somewhere where it doesn't belong, normally in good weather. And, man, did we get it. Did we, with the rain first, and then forgetting the rain, the wind was unbelievable on Saturday.
It was. It did. It made us probably feel like if we went out there, we'd shoot 140. But those maybe. My favorite shot is the water that's not being poured into the cup below, but blowing directly to the side. But then yesterday, guys were shooting 64, 65, 66, except for one guy.
Yeah.
Dustin Johnson. Again, he's living up to this early Greg Norman, Colin Montgomery, Sergio Garcia can't win a major hype. Again, a 95% of players go in contention, tore the course apart, but the course tore Dustin Johnson apart on Sunday.
I'm looking at like I played that bad. Just couldn't hold the putts. So it was, I felt like I was hitting good putts. They just weren't going in the hole. There's nothing you can really do about that. I was trying, but it was just one of those days where it felt like it played very easy out there today. It got a little tricky coming in, but the first 11 holes couldn't have played any easier.
I don't want to get nitpicky, and I'm not out there golfing, but when you say I was hitting my putts well and I couldn't really do anything more about it. Yeah, you could.
Well, you weren't hitting them that well.
They were near going in. I mean, he really struggled with his putter. Looking at the round from yesterday, which, again, on Sunday, the 4th day, but the 3rd round, 67, 66, 67, 66, 65, 64, 67, and then you get all the way down to Dustin Johnson, and it's unbelievable. He comes in with, a 75? 75, 4 bogeys, only 1 birdie. So now he's 5 behind the leaders, might be a little too far back. I was listening to Andy North saying that he thinks maybe the groups from 9 under up have that shot to win.
That's 14 guys.
Yeah. Which is a lot of guys. But Dustin Johnson, you wonder, he's such a big hitter. If he can get the putter going today, and he's going to tee off at about 7:30 Eastern, I believe, so in front a couple hours. Here's a guy who was leading, and now a couple of hours he's golfing in front of the leaders. If he can get that putting going, it still may be too little too late. But let me tell you what, the course is out there, and this is the beauty again. Every now and then we get live stuff going on, live sporting. You got guys on the course right now, 6 under through 13, 5 under through 12, 6 under through 15. I mean, it's unbelievable. 4 under through 12, so 6 under through 16. So the course, they talk about a little bit of rain possibly, but we were talking before the show, as you mentioned, these guys don't really care about the rain. It's the wind, and it doesn't seem to be too bad. So you could have some huge rounds out there again.
Dustin's too far back, though. He's too far back because he's got 17 guys in front of him. And he didn't tear up the course when everybody else did. Remember, he was one of the last ones he was the last guy to play yesterday, and the course was just being torn to shreds. But he wasn't doing it. It is Mike and Mike, Dari Nowkhah in for Greeny. We're presented by Progressive Insurance. More independent agents sell Progressive Insurance than any other brand. Find an agent at Progressive.com. Now that's Progressive. Golic, 14 guys within 3 shots of the league. You've got 2 amateurs, including one who is tied for the lead. He is out of UAB. He's a native of Ireland, and he firmly believes he can win this thing. Why not? You go, Paul Dunn.
I don't see why not. I'm well capable of shooting the scores that I need to win if everyone else doesn't play their best. So whether it happens or not, I can't really control. I can just go out and try to play my game and see where it leads me at the end of the day. But hopefully I play great again and post a good number.
So, I mean, let's get into his feelings. Let's talk about where he is right now. He'd be the first amateur to win a major since Johnny Goodman won the Open in 1933. He's the first amateur with a 54-hole lead at the Open since Bobby Jones in 1927. Jones did go on to win that tournament. As Dari mentioned, he graduated from UAB in the spring. He has a degree in finance, by the way.
Good, that'll come in handy.
Yes. His caddy is his coach at UAB, Alan Murray, also from Ireland. He finished 5th in the NCAA in the individual championship. He's a 2-time All-American. He's ranked 80th in the world amateur rankings.
In the world, not in the world, in the world amateur ranking.
Exactly. I'm glad you specified. Not the world rankings, the world amateur rankings. He was 1,500 to 1. His odds were to win this tournament, and here he is. In the last group, he's going to be with Louis Oosthuizen on the last group. Jason Day missed a putt on 18 that would have put him in the last group, but he missed that, so it's Oosthuizen and Dunn. Dari, I can't even fathom. And listen, he said all the right things afterward when he talked to Tom Rinaldi, and you hear that soundbite. Of course, he's going to have the confidence and the fact I'm going to play the way I play. I can't worry about everybody else. You hear all those things. I really wonder how he slept last night. I really absolutely wonder if he got any shut-eye last night at all.
How would you have slept?
Horribly.
Right?
What would go through your mind? I mean, the guy's golfed a lot in his day, but, the last 4 years at UAB, in NCAA. and this year on his UAB team, he wasn't even the low guy on his team till later in the season. His best round in the NCAA ever was a 67.
And he's shot what? A 67? 69, 66 yesterday at St. Andrews?
One shot better at the Open than he ever shot in an NCAA match. It's incredible. It's an incredible story, and I don't know if there's anybody that thinks he can hang on, but what a story if he can hang on. I can't imagine what's going through him right now. I mean, you want to talk about using that old term, that one of the biggest cliches, stay within yourself? Holy smokes.
Good luck.
And his caddy, who is his coach, again, Alan Murray, you want to talk about leaning on somebody just from that aspect of trying to keep his head where it needs to be. Holy smokes.
There are 14 guys within 3 shots. He's one amateur. Any other time you have an amateur even 3 shots back at a major, he's the story. we had to figure out, honestly, I'll be honest, I had to ask today how to pronounce the name of the other one, who's tied for 6th. Jordan Niebregi, who is an Oklahoma State Cowboy, 21 years old. He has a professional win, Golic. You know what it was? The 2011 Wisconsin State Open.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, he played that as an amateur, obviously. That's Jordan Niebregi. You got Paul Dunn, Louis Oost. Did you say Oosthuizen?
Listen, here's another one that is. It's been Oosthuizen for as long as I've been talking about golf. And yesterday, everyone in the world is calling him Oosthuizen. So I don't know if it was one of those he was just letting it go and finally said Gang and Oosthuizen, because Tom Rinaldi was interviewing him, sitting right next to him, calling him Oosthuizen. So I guess we're going to go with Oosthuizen. We may slip up a little bit and still throw an Oosthuizen in there, but either way, he won in 2010. He won right here at St. Andrews. So and that's who Dunn is playing with, a guy who has won the Open on this course.
7 of the 14 guys, 7 of the 14 within 3 shots have won majors before. So you got 7 that have won majors before. You've got 2 that are amateurs, 1 that is a co-leader, all of it on ESPN television right now. More storylines in this. I don't think people know these, Golic. I want to rip through these right after this, which is presented to us by Uber.
Hey, would you like to make some great money? Here's a really cool opportunity for you. Driving with Uber. Uber is the popular smartphone app that connects riders to drivers. And here's why drivers go with Uber. You can be your own boss. You can earn great money. It's easy to start. All you need is a car and a driver's license. Driving with Uber is great for anyone who needs flexibility. Parents, it's a great way to work around your family schedule. Students, you can make some extra money, and who doesn't need that, between classes. There's a pro football D lineman out there tweeted he signed up to drive with Uber. When he was asked why, he said the only thing better than making pro football money is more money. Now's the time to cash in. Driving with Uber, get paid every week. Here's what you got to do. You got that car, you got that license, put it to work for you. Start earning some serious money today. Sign up to drive with Uber. Visit drivewithuber.com. That's U-B-E-R. Drivewithuber.com. That's drivewithuber.com.
It is Mike and Mike, Dari Nowkhah in for Greeny, alongside Golic, of course. British Open, or Open Championship, continuing on. Coverage of the final round just getting underway on ESPN television, and they'll have coverage all the way through till somebody is holding up the claret jug, and probably a little bit after that. Some of the more other storylines. Of course, we haven't even hardly mentioned Jordan Spieth.
No, we have not.
Trying to become the first since 1953 Ben Hogan to win the first 3 majors of a calendar year. He says he's not feeling any pressure here.
As far as handling it, I don't look at it as a negative thing. I look at it almost as an advantage. Why should it add more pressure in a negative way? If it adds more pressure, it just makes me feel like this is something that's a little more special. Let's just go ahead and get the job done.
And you know what? We talk about Dunn says he's not feeling pressure. I don't believe it. We talk about Spieth. I kind of do.
Well, yeah, for what he's trying to accomplish. I mean, he is in some heady area for a 21-year-old. But what he does, Dari, so well, he putts so well. Yeah. He does such a great job knocking in those 6, 7, 8, 10-footers, that make you a little nervous. He's solid on those. I mean, and I think that's what cost Dustin Johnson yesterday is he couldn't putt. We know what a big ball hitter he is, and he was even getting himself into trouble, obviously, in the fairways and finding those pothole bunkers as well. But his putting let him down, and that's something where Spieth has just been fantastic with his putter. So, you know what they say, you drive for show and putt for dough. Yep. Spieth's about as good as there is out there right now, so you really have to like his chances, figuring, who he has to jump. He has to jump Jason Day, who's, looking for that first major, and Oosthuizen obviously has won it here, as I said, in 2010. And Dunn, I think everybody's just waiting for the amateur to fall back to not be able to handle the pressure, so we'll see. But if you don't have a favorite in this race, I gotta believe you're either rooting for the amateur or you're rooting for Spieth to keep going with the majors.
For the record, Spieth is actually 243 days younger than Dunn.
Right,
you think Dunn, he's this amateur, he's a kid. He's actually almost a year older than Spieth. I'm going to run through a couple of these other stories here. So you got Dunn, the amateur co-leader, Oosthuizen looking for his second major, both at St. Andrews, and Day battling the vertigo symptoms. Yeah. Still had a 54-hole share of the lead at the U.S. Open before falling back. Spieth looking for his third straight. Patty Harrington's won 3 before. I'm going to get back to Mark Leishman. This story blows me away in a minute. I didn't know it before last night. Niebregi, another major. Sergio never won a major, and of course he's known more for that than anything. Justin Rose Englishman trying to become the first to win at the Open Championship since 1992. Nick Faldo. Goossens won 2 majors, but not since 04. Robert Streb won PGA Tour win. He's 9 under. Adam Scott won the Masters in 2013. Great name, playing well, all that. Zach Johnson won the Masters in 07. Danny Willett, another Englishman, trying to become the first since Nick Faldo in 92 to win the Open Championship. They're all within 3 shots. Then there's this. You saw the 64 put up by Mark Leishman?
Yeah.
Okay. I had no idea. 2 months ago, folks, or 3, I guess, his wife, Audrey, 31 years old, great shape, stays in great shape, works out all the time, was suddenly sent to intensive care, diagnosed with acute respiratory distress syndrome and toxic shock syndrome, given a 5% chance of survival. 5%. This was in April, right before the Masters. Right. She gets put on a ventilator. Her organs start shutting down, lungs filling with fluid. Doctors telling Mark the prognosis was not good. I remember I read a story. She told him, just get the kids to see the Easter Bunny and get pictures for me. This was before she's in a medically induced coma. Right before Easter, she goes into that coma. Eventually, a doctor suggests flipping her onto her stomach for whatever reason. I'm not even going to pretend that I know. Right. She starts to show signs of improvement, comes back out of consciousness. She appears to be fine now.
That's amazing.
He thought he was losing his wife 2 months ago. Here he is. And the interesting thing about him, he says it changed everything. I don't hold back now. I take risks. I go for every shot. There's something to be said for that. So when you watch Mark Leishman today, just know what he just went through.
It is amazing. And how do you go through something like that and not change somehow, some way? That I did not know that story either. I did not know that story either. That is an amazing story. But he's sitting there at 9 under. And again, Andy North said he thought those at 9 under. And as Dari mentioned, there's 14 of them that think that have a shot at this. Everybody else may be a little far back, including Dustin Johnson, as we said, sitting at 7 under after that 3 over par. Danny Willett was a guy who was 9 under, so maybe in that he kind of gave a few away later in that because he was playing extremely well. So I'm asking you, you want to see the amateur win, or you want to see Spieth continue?
You know what I want to see? Here's what I've always wanted to see, and I don't feel like we've seen it for a long time. The potential for absolute crazy wild drama between 5, 6, 7 guys going into the last 3 holes of a major. I don't feel like we've seen it. So I guess if I've got to pick a winner, Spieth's going to have his run. I love the idea of an amateur winning this thing because amateur can't get paid.
Right.
There's a $1.8 million check going to somebody. In a little bit, we're going to tell you who's going to get it, right?
Yeah. That is truly amazing. Well, yeah, we'll definitely get into that. I think I am rooting for Spieth. You know, I gave the stats about the amateur, about when, you know, the last amateur to win was Johnny Goodman, the U.S. Open in 33. Obviously, from the Open at 54-hole lead, it was Bobby Jones in 27. I think it's more of a one-off. You know, it's kind of a wow moment. And which would be great for him. Listen, wherever, unless he just completely craters out, he's going to finish up there pretty high, and it's going to be great for him.
But do you think we'll just forget about it?
Well, I think it's more of a one-off. Yeah, I don't think anybody, if he wins this, is going to say, well, Paul Dunn's the new Jordan Spieth.
No, that's not coming.
Who was the new Rory McIlroy? Who was, you know, I mean, we go on down the line. So while I think it would be great, I'm not sitting here hoping he doesn't win, you know, or anything like that. But I'd like to see Spieth continue. I'd like to see him win that third one this year, the major. So that's who I'm rooting for to win this thing. How about if you're Oosthuizen? I'm still having trouble with that.
No, I keep having to remember who you're talking about.
How about you won this on this course in 2010, and you're playing with an amateur. Do you try and get to him psychologically? I know golf is the game of respect and all that, blah, blah, blah. Everybody's really nice, you know, that whole thing.
Yeah. What do you do if you're him? How do you do it? What do you go about?
I mean, again, I don't know how you really could, as I'm saying. I don't know how you can try and Bigfoot somebody, you know, but by having won that before. I don't know if it's comments here and there about that, but
how about this? Give him 9 holes to see if he falls by himself. Then you start messing with him. Yeah.
See if he'll do it on his own.
Yeah.
That would be the golfer etiquette way to go about it.
Yeah.
Huh?
If that's etiquette.
And then once you make the turn, that's it. No more etiquette.
Game over. You're still within 3 shots. You're toast.
Yeah.
I've won on this course. Did I remind you I've won on this course?
I remember this hole. Yeah, I birdied here. Well, you'll be all right. You get home in a bogey, you'll be fine. You'll save yourself a little bit.
And then Dunn says, "Did you see my 66 yesterday?" I'm okay. Don't worry about it.
And you know what Louis is going to say? Son, that was yesterday.
Yeah.
It's not today.
And then he says, "Okay, Mr. Oosthuizen."
And he says, "It's Oosthuizen."
It's Oosthuizen.
The best of Mike and Mike.
Mike and Mike.
Geico presents Strange Savings Stories. Astronomers detected an interstellar transmission. It stated, Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more. The implications were staggering. Was the cosmos telling us we could all save hundreds on car insurance with Geico? Or did their radar merely pick up a signal from the nearby Rufus and Clyde's morning show? We may never know.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
The best of Mike and Mike.
It is Mike and Mike, ESPN Radio. Dari Nowkhah in for Greeny. Do get to work with Golic. I would have hated to make this trip north and not had you at least.
Well, and I know I don't have the hair of Mel when you work with Mel Kiper Jr. on your show on Saturdays. Again, so I feel I had hope he'd do it as best she could with the coif here to see if how good I can get. But I just can't do it, Mel.
No, nobody can.
I'll try as best I can. But I appreciate you sitting in for Greeny today as everybody gets to watch some live golf today.
It's so good. Always presented by Progressive Insurance. All guests join us via the Subway Fresh Take Hotline. Hang out with us as well. 1-800-Flowers.com Twitter feed at Mike and Mike. And you can get us there. You can also hit that up for Grill Golic as camps are firing up. Rookies are going to report here in a little bit. So hashtag Grill Golic with your football question for Golic, and he will get that answered for you. And, yeah, we get to watch golf. I mean, how good is it? 14 guys within 3 shots of the lead at the start of the day. 2 of them are amateurs. Golic, I'm just looking at the leaderboard here, and the course is playing now like it played yesterday.
Yes,
right?
it is.
Tear it up unless your name's Dustin Johnson.
Yep.
Oliver Schneiderhans, and there's I would say a 98% chance I mispronounced that.
Yeah, but I think he did a pretty good job trying, though.
An American, by the way. Oliver Schneiderhans, an amateur, is 4 under through 8 and is now at -8 for the tournament, 4 shots back. So that now gives us 3 amateurs within 4 shots of the lead.
It's incredible. Some of the rounds, he's 4 under through 8. You got 5 under, 5 under, 4 under. These are through 17, 15, 12, 3 under through 9, 2 under through 4, more 5 under. So the course is playing extremely well. So what's interesting is if some of these people can make a move here, and then what if the weather turns? Because they are actually calling for some rain for the top guys if they're playing in bad weather, because already the leaderboard, you got 14 players within 3 strokes of the lead. So I'm with you. You know, as far as picking who to win, do you want Dunn, this amateur, to win? Are you rooting for Spieth to go the first 3 majors? He wins them all. That's kind of where I'm leading. But I'm with you. I want, 16, 17, and 18, there to be a group.
Yes.
There to be a nice big group of people playing for the win.
How about a 6-man playoff? How's that sound to you?
Just think if this was like the U.S. Open when you already went the extra day, and then the U.S. Open, you go a full round the day of Tuesday call.
I hate to be the Canadian Open at that point, because that's the next tournament. You're going to get nobody.
You're going to be, oh, God, here come the phone calls.
Who's coming to Toronto? So that's going on, and they're playing, and the score, Jeff Ogilvy, by the way, he's through 3 on the day, and he is at 8 under. No, he's through 5 on the day. He's at 8 under for the tournament, also 3 under for the day.
Andy Sullivan is 3 under through 3 holes. He's birdied the first 3 holes. He's 8 under for the day. So scores are just crazy right now. And again, guys like, Dustin Johnson, who had the second worst score yesterday, with that 75 out there, he tees off at 7:30. The leaders don't tee off till 9. The last 2 groups go at 9:20 and 9:30 Eastern time, respectively. Yep. So a little bit of time before that, but it's nice to see these other guys making these early runs. We'll see if it keeps going.
Did you see Saturday, Brett Favre?
Yes, I did.
Yeah. So he gets inducted into the Packer Hall of Fame, and this was the first time for Favre to visit Green Bay. Right, and in good standing with the Packer family. Everything's been all smoothed over between he and management. No issues anymore. He felt unloved, and they felt unloved, and It was really this ugly, what seemed like unnecessary relationship between Favre and the Packers for a number of years, not just when he was a Jet or a Viking, but beyond that. And, oh, did everybody love him. And just a little bit of his Hall of Fame induction acceptance speech from Lambeau Field in front of 67,000 people Saturday.
All I can say is, wow. Wow. This is absolutely amazing. I don't have the words to express the feeling coming out of that tunnel to this ovation. Thank you. Thank you so much. If there were any doubts before, there's not any. I truly thank you.
Dari Nowkhah, Mike Golic. Here's what I love about Brett Favre. And you watch this, and I watch this too. I wanted to count the number of beautifully executed, not 50-yard touchdown passes to Donald Driver, beautifully executed stops in anticipation of applause. Favre is the best. And, you know, when I came out of that tunnel, and then at one point he said, I guess you all do love me. It was so Brett Favre. I loved it.
Yeah, well, listen, it's 67,000 people there. We go back to how that all ended. It wasn't the greatest thing in the world, but I always like to see it end well because, I mean, he was so great for that organization, so great for football. And the end was one of those endings that unfortunately turned a bit comical with, you know, I'm retiring, I'll never be on a field again, and there you are on a field again, and then you end up with a team that's, you know, huge rivals with Green Bay and the Minnesota Vikings. So it did not end well, and it certainly didn't end well with the organization, management with the organization. He's always had a great love affair with the fans and some great teammates. As I've always said, you ask a player what they missed most in any sport, they're going to tell you it's the players in the locker room. That's just kind of how it works. You're with those guys so much. So you have to mend fences with management, and usually over time, I think we all understand that time usually heals a lot of wounds, and you just realize what's right. And what's right is for Brett Favre to be honored by that organization. And, I mean, you go to me, you know, I got to play in just about every NFL stadium there was, and to play at Lambeau Field and just Lambeau Field. I mean, just the history of it, the museum right there. It's an incredible experience, and Brett Favre needs to be remembered for that. He needs to be in that fold. So I'm glad it worked out that way, and I figured it would over time. You can't. You can hold a grudge for a long time. Everybody's a little different in how they do it. But I'm glad they finally did what should have been done. I'm glad both sides got together and did this because it needed to get done.
He talked with Ed Werder afterwards about being remembered as a Green Bay Packer.
It's etched in stone forever.
You're 16 years.
Yes. I said this from the day I left, that what I had accomplished in those 16 years can never be taken away. When you look back and you talk about my career, it will be from a Packer standpoint. You'll almost forget that I played for other teams because that's what I'm going to be remembered as.
Yeah, I don't know, Packer fans probably aren't going to forget that he played for other teams, especially that one in purple where he did get, again, the old ovation getter. I've come out of the other tunnel, too, but I like coming out of this one better.
He knew the points to hit, huh?
He nailed him.
He definitely did. But, you know, it was still what I do think is still icy is I don't think it's a great relationship, and it doesn't have to be with he and Aaron Rodgers. Quite honestly, I thought I felt that way at the ESPYs when they were both, you know, being interviewed by Stan and Neil. They were both, and when Greeny and I did the red carpet show, sometimes they give out some of the ESPYs before the show, and Aaron came on with us, and we gave him an award before the show, and they did the same thing here, and they had Brett give it to him. But just that exchange seemed very awkward as well. You know, we know how kind of Aaron Rodgers, what the spot he was in, he's taken over for Brett Favre. You know, his whole thing was just go play. and try not to get caught up in all of it. I don't think it was ever very comfortable, and I still don't think it's very comfortable. Again, not that it has to be. Nobody has to be palling around. These guys don't even, play on the same team anymore. And as I said, you don't have to get along with everybody. And I don't think it's the greatest relationship in the world, especially for a guy who Aaron Rodgers many feel is the best quarterback in the league right now.
Yeah.
Where's he going to end up? He's got the same amount of Super Bowls as Favre, doesn't he?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. And Aaron Rodgers is just a fantastic quarterback with a number of years left. So it will be interesting where his legacy ends. Now, remember, Favre had so many numbers records, which Peyton Manning is now taking down. But Favre, from a statistical standpoint, held so many of those records. So I don't know where Aaron will be from that standpoint. But Aaron's got a pretty good legacy going himself. You sit there. We talk about the Colts when they lost Peyton Manning, and now they have Andrew Luck. Well, think about the Green Bay Packers. They had Brett Favre and then right into Aaron Rodgers.
It's almost unfair, really.
A couple of organizations that just, at the most important position on the field, you're set at that position for a couple of decades when you have quarterbacks taking over for Hall of Famers like Andrew Luck did and like Aaron Rodgers did. So I'm glad it finally worked out. It was kind of dicey with everybody had their fun. We had our fun on this show, poking fun at Brett Favre and the comebacks and everything like that. But he's where he needs to be, without question, to be honored there as one of the great Packers of all time. So, and I'm glad, 67,000 people showing up. That's no shock. That place is just oozes football. So that was cool to see.
There were 12 teams this year in the NFL that averaged fewer than 67,000 fans.
Yeah.
They get 67,000 fans in an hour and a half. That's what Brett said his daughter told him. Wow, Dad, they love you. They sold out 67,000 tickets in an hour and a half. Pretty awesome.
And everybody cheered for that, too.
And they did. They did. It's great. The Favre Rodgers thing's interesting to me because Brett cares what people think, right? I mean, we know that some athletes can say they don't. Do we believe LeBron when he says he doesn't? No. I don't know that I believe Brett Favre if he ever says that he doesn't. I think he does. He wants to be loved, and he wants to be the best. So it's one thing, I think, to have the guy that's the future sitting behind you. That's one thing. The other thing is I've got to feel, Golic, that he hates the conversation that is already happening about who's the greatest quarterback in Packer history.
Right, sure.
Because it's a fair conversation to have. Aaron is great. Is he as exciting to watch as Favre? No, there may never be a quarterback that is. He was thrilling to watch. Now, he'll throw you out of a game and he'll throw you into more.
Right.
But that's a legitimate conversation that perhaps Brett Favre wants no part.
Well, I mean, when you talk about skills of a quarterback as a thrower, the accuracy, Aaron Rodgers is a better quarterback.
Right.
I mean, he is, and he moves. He's not that, Brett has the gunslinger mentality, and you love that out of a quarterback. As you said, he'll throw you into trouble, but he can throw you out of trouble as well. I think in another half decade, that's a legitimate conversation. Yeah. Where we'll have to see where Aaron is, where is he statistically, for those that like numbers, where is he statistically compared to Brett Favre? But skill-wise, I mean, as a throwing quarterback, listen, you're not getting too many that are going to be better than Aaron Rodgers at the skill of throwing the ball.
No, he's just fantastic. Still working on Grill Golic, # Grill Golic. I want to get your camp stories as well right after this from our friends down, not far from where I live in Myrtle Beach.
If you're feeling like you need to get away for a few days of rest and relaxation, we can recommend Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Easy to get to, affordable nonstop flights from over 25 cities. Once you're in Myrtle Beach, there are so many wonderful things to see and do, over 100 championship courses along 60 miles, a beautiful Carolina coastline, home to the world's largest amateur golf tournament the last week of August, attracting nearly 4,000 golfers from around the world. One of our favorite tournaments, Hootie and the Blowfish's Monday After the Masters celebrity program as well. Hundreds of great restaurants, amusement parks, and other family attractions like the brand-new North Myrtle Beach Park and Sports Complex, athletic fields for softball, baseball, soccer, and lacrosse tournaments, a dog park, hiking trails, jet packs, Segway tours, zip lines, and more. It's easy to see why Myrtle Beach, South Carolina is where America goes to play. Start planning your next visit online at myrtlebeachgolfholiday.com.
It is Mike and Mike on ESPN Radio. Dari Nowkhah in for Greeny. Golic, of course, here as well. It is time For some grill Golic, you can call our chatter line, 740-535-MIKE, or you can hit us on the 1-800-Flowers.com Twitter feed, at Mike and Mike. We start with the chatter line, Golic. How about a little Steelers?
A little Steelers. Do we have it?
Oh, do we have it? Yeah. Yes, we do. Actually, I probably need to hit that. Here we go.
Yeah, this is Chuck from Ironton, Ohio. I'm a diehard Steelers fan. I was wondering how you thought the Steelers defense would be with their draft pick, Bud Dupree, and with Dick LeBeau moving on, how you think they would compete this year.
Well, how about Dick LeBeau? I mean, what a name in the NFL, and how long he's been part of that.
It's amazing.
You know what? Here's the thing with the Pittsburgh defense, and why I do like them. Young and talented. You know, a couple of years ago we were talking about was getting up there in age. When Brett Kiesel, Troy Polamalu, they had some age to that. I think with their draft picks, some of the draft picks in the last couple of years, they've gotten younger, really, really athletic. So I do like what they had to bring. And you think about the division that they're in. So think about the defense. What quarterbacks are they playing against? In Cleveland?
You know.
Josh McCown probably. Andy Dalton in Cincinnati.
Flacco.
And Flacco's the best quarterback, in that division there. Outside of your own and Ben Roethlisberger, but You're not playing against Ben. So of the teams you're playing against, Flacco's the best. So that helps. The other quarterback, Andy Dalton, has been good in the regular season, certainly has struggled in the postseason. It's a big year for him. And Cleveland, they're struggling at the quarterback position. So I like the young athleticism of this Pittsburgh defense.
All right, how about another grill Golic? This one from Caleb via Twitter at Mike and Mike. Do the Packers have any, we're talking about the Packers and Aaron Rodgers, do the Packers have any challengers in the NFC North?
Oh, absolutely. I think Detroit, you keep waiting for Detroit. You keep seeing all this talent from Detroit. Now, they did lose Sue and Fairley on the defensive line, but I love some of the talent they have on defense. You got Stafford, you got Calvin Johnson.
Yeah.
I mean, those two alone. Golden Tate with the year he had last year. So I feel like they should be doing more, almost underachieving in a way. Minnesota, I think, are we going to elevate them? You get Adrian Peterson back. How is he going to do running ball after having the year off? He can help the passing game.
You buying Bridgewater, too?
I am. Teddy Bridgewater, I thought, they said he was the most pro-ready coming out, and I think he kind of proved that with how he handled it. Forgetting the numbers, how he handles himself in the pocket. You give him a running game with Peterson, and that's only going to help the passing game. If Kyle Rudolph can stay healthy, he's had some nick issues, but if he can stay healthy, he's a big target at tight end for him. So I'm looking for them to come up a bit. Chicago Bears, I don't think so. I think Chicago could be the low team in that division right now. But I think the Packers are the favorite. The Lions have the talent there, and I'm really curious to see how Minnesota's going to come up this year.
Got another grill Golic via the chatter line. Hey, I like this since I'm a Charlotte guy.
Hey, Mike, I just want to check on my Carolina Panthers. I know Cam Newton and their defense should be number one this year. What you think? Championship or not?
Well, I don't know. Champion. I mean, they went from winning the division 2 years in a row, which is unheard of in that division. But the last year they did it at 7-8-1.
They won a playoff game, though, in Charlotte.
I know. That was a tough division. They won it. The Saints were second at 7-9. So not the greatest division, but it's a division we've seen a lot of last to first in a lot. So I don't know if I can't pick a team and say, oh, yeah, that's the clear-cut favorite. Yeah. Where are the Saints in all this? Obviously, you have Drew Brees, so you know your offense can be a great defense. The defense slipped some last year. You do lose Jimmy Graham in that trade going to Seattle. But I still like them. Atlanta, that's another team where you look at their offensive firepower.
Right.
But they
got to stay healthy.
They have to stay healthy. The offensive line, last year they lose their left tackle right away. You got your rookie in Matthews going from right tackle to left tackle. The defense was, without question, the weak point of that team. So that's an area that they need to build up. And I don't know, Tampa Bay, you still have a rookie quarterback this year in Jameis Winston. Even though I like him, I don't expect a ton out of them. But in a division where 7 games won the division, you really can't count anybody out. I mean, there were teams. We're looking 10, 11 weeks into the season. You had 3 wins. You were in it. Yeah. You were in it in that division. It was incredible. So while I can't call anybody out, I also can't pick a clear-cut favorite. But you got Cam Newton. He started the season hurt. He had the ankle issue before. Then he had a rib issue. So he wasn't moving like
he has a car crash.
Yeah, exactly.
Freak, right?
Exactly.
Come on.
So he wasn't moving like he normally moves. Luke Kuechly, I think, is
fantastic.
He's just a tackling machine. So, yeah, could they do this again? Yes, but that division, not the greatest division in the world, so it's tough for me to say they're a clear-cut favorite, but Carolina is certainly one of the favorites, yes.
There are as many 59 jerseys being worn around those parts as one jerseys, which I would not have expected that. Dari Nowkhah, Mike Golic, it is Mike and Mike, presented by Progressive Insurance. Now you can test drive Snapshot even if you have insurance with another company. See how much you can save before you switch. You want to do another question? Or with rookies reporting soon. I'm kind of wanting a rookie story from you, man.
When I was our training camp, I got drafted by the Houston Oilers in the 10th round. Yes, the 10th round. There was a point in the draft when it was more than 7 rounds. So I wouldn't even have been drafted in today's game. Would have been that undrafted free agent. There were 12 rounds, and I got drafted in the 10th round, I think, picked 255 overall. And our camp was at San Angelo State.
Okay.
And with the Houston Oilers, because while it was hot there, it wasn't as humid as it was in Houston. It was more of that dry heat, even though it was like over 100 degrees. Yeah. So it was my rookie years. I mean, I'm nervous as all get out, and we're staying in dorm rooms. And I'm one of those that I'm like on the Tom Coughlin timeline. That whatever the time is, I'm there 5 to 10 minutes early, just so I'm not late.
That's a good quality.
I do not, and especially as a 10th rounder, which is just about undrafted, then, there's not a whole lot of slack to be given.
Yeah.
You're one of them first couple of round guys, you get a little bit of slack. Okay, 10th round and up, you really don't. So, and I was never like that anyway. I always wanted to be on time. So one of the first things, before we even got to camp and playing and some of the stories there, I'll never forget the first night that I was at camp. I was in a dorm room. I had a clock there. There were no iPhones then where you set your alarm on your iPhone. It was on the clock.
You better hope power doesn't go out.
So, but I did worry about that as to this story. So we had the clock. I set the alarm. I kid you not. Every hour or less than an hour, I woke up. I looked at the clock. It said, 1 o'clock. I didn't believe it. I got up. I went out in the hallway, and I looked at the clock in the hallway, and it said 1 o'clock. I said, okay. I went back to bed. I woke up. I look at the clock, 2:20. Wouldn't believe it. I'd get out of bed, walk into the hallway, look at the clock, 2:20. I did that almost every hour on the hour the first night, just so I made sure I was on time for everything. When, again, this is a time where they walk through the hallways and blow the horn when you're supposed to get up.
You're not oversleeping.
A horn you're going to hear. I have to almost be in a coma to not wake up with that horn. But every hour or less, I woke up, looked at my clock, didn't believe it, walked in the hallway, looked at the clock in there, and then the horrible sleep. Made it to that first day, and then once you start practicing, you're so tired you have no chance but to fall asleep. I was scared to death to do anything wrong as a rookie.
And you made it. And I know there was some hazing that I got at some point.
Everybody says hazing in a bad way. These weren't dangerous things, but yes.
Right. Okay. So you'll share some of that.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'll share some of that. Right. Okay. But first I had to show up on time. So that was the first story.
So that you could get
for me.
Nicely hazed.
That's exactly right.
Yes. Okay, good.
Mike and Mike.
You were watching something last night, weren't you?
I was. Yes,
was
I
interesting.
was. I'm trying to get the Golic family on it. Is the Celebrity Family Feud.
Yeah.
I dig it. Steve Harvey, I'm a huge fan of. We all love Steve. I think he's great in what he does. And in hosting that show, I think he's hilarious. But they're doing Celebrity Family Feud. So I think and last night was the Gronkowski night. And they went against Rodney Peete and his wife and their family.
Yeah, Holly, yeah.
So, Holly Robinson Peete and Rodney and the family and the Gronks. Gronk and his 3 of his brothers and his father. And this was the much-anticipated Family Feud on how that was going to go. And listen, the Gronks have a great time. But
Right. Understatement, maybe?
As far as Family Feud, yeah. But as far as Family Feud is concerned, didn't go so well.
Oh, it didn't?
Did not go so well.
He was asked, and an interesting question came up over the course of it. Here you go.
Name something that can be inflated or deflated. Too late. Holly?
Balloon.
A balloon. Well, Rob, I don't even want this one. But I'm going to have to answer questions all the time. Yeah. You know, you're just going back over. This is the one I don't want. Yeah, play.
We're going to play.
Yeah, stay away from this one, kid. That's a smart man right there.
How good is that?
Yeah, he stayed away from that one because Rodney was up then next, and he said a football, and that was up there.
It was?
Yes, it was.
Football made the board.
Football made the board. So, and then Steve looked over at Gronk and said, "You were smart for staying out of this one."
It just said football, right? It didn't say Tom Brady's football?
No.
Okay.
It just said football.
Oh.
But they scored, unfortunately, Gronkowski scored, I think, 33 or 39 points. That was it.
So the Pete's won.
Yeah, the Pete's won,
Yeah.
and then they won the speed round as well, $25,000. It goes to the charity, so it was cool. But there was one question in there about name something. You know, when a guy is really drunk, name something he may try and pick up, like accidentally, because he's so drunk. Like the number one answer was like his sister. You know,
come on.
So kind of like that. So Steve Harvey goes over the Gronkowski family and says, "All right, guys, you should get this. You've all been drunk."
He is good.
Oh.
He's really good.
Yeah.
I mean, that show has survived. Phil Dawson comes and goes, and then it was Ray Combs, of course, the suicide.
Yeah, right.
And then, but it just keeps on churning. It doesn't go away. It's
Richard
one of those
Dawson
shows.
I watched it when that's how old I am when he was doing it. But I love Steve Harvey. But Gronk's, listen, they had a ball. They brought a girl up from the audience, and he and Gronk danced. I mean, Gronk is Gronk. The guy has a great time. I got no complaints with him. He has a ball. And he plays ball, and he's great at playing ball, but they were not very good at this. This one they struggled at a bit. I would love the Golic family to do this one.
You can't, if you're going to win Family Feud, you can't pass on a question simply because of principle. Yeah. Like, you have to try and make a run at it.
Yeah, you do. Yeah.
He passed on what you can inflate or deflate.
That was a struggle. Yeah, I would imagine he might have said football, and it would have been number 2, and they could have played that one. But
so you've tried to get on. But we haven't
really tried. No, we're just basically wanting to get on and hope they let us come on. That's pretty much it. That's pretty much it.
It should work with this show.
I'm trying to talk my way on to that. There's 5 of us, me and my wife, my son Mike, my son Jake, and my daughter Sydney. So we could all be on. We all love the show. We all watch the show. So, you know, my boys.
Do you know Steve Harvey at all?
I do not.
Oh.
Like to hang out with him.
Right.
Seems like a really good guy.
That might be your end to get on the show.
That might be the end. I may have to try and work that angle because I think it's a great show. Love it. So, but it was interesting. It started out really slow for both families. We were like, I don't know what direction this is going. But then the Pete's won, and then they won the bonus round and run some good money for their charity. So that was a cool thing.
Now that's the thing. If you win, then you got to get to 200 points. You get 2 people to go up there. I love the show. My wife will never watch it when we're watching TV.
Right.
I don't know why. She just doesn't care for it. I love the show. Would you want to be the first one to take a shot at the 200 points, the second one to clean up the mess, or you'd rather just stay off to the side and not handle it?
I have already been told. We've gone to the point of talking about this so much already of who would go up there.
Okay.
And I've already been voted down.
Oh, you wouldn't even make it?
They wouldn't even let me go up there.
That's disappointing.
I'm basically out. I'm not sure which 2 would go up there, but I know they are. I'm already out. If I had my choice, I guess I would want to go last. I would want to kind of clean up. I don't know if I trust myself there as much, so I may take the easy route and try and go first. But I've already been voted down for that. If we're ever on, I'm not one of the 2. I know. That's what I thought as well.
We got to get you on there. We're going to try to get Golics on Feud. Can we hashtag get Golics on? If we think we can get Golics on Feud, I can't even say it.
I know. That would be a horrible hashtag then if we can't say it. We're going to try some way. You're right. I think the way might be to try and get it in with Steve Harvey some way.
We might need to do that. We need more friends to help, like our friends with Fruit of the Loom, Golic.
Yes, absolutely. Fruit of the Loom has just come out with its new Stay Tucked Crew Fruit of the Loom's new Stay Tucked Crew is tested to ensure it stays tucked all day. Innovative sleeves and collar lay flat and stay flat. It passed the Get the Cat from the Tree test and the Plumber Under the Sink test. Wear the Stay Tucked Crew and never suffer through undershirt muffin top again. You know what that is? That's when your undershirt bunches up and billows out. It is flattering on no one. Don't let undershirt muffin top be on your boss's mind. Get Fruit of the Loom's new Stay Tucked Crew. It's designed to stay tucked all day long. We will do more Grill Golic, your questions about your NFL team, coming up on Mike and Mike.
The best of Mike and Mike.
Mike and Mike.
And now, for Geico's edition of Stuff Found in Your Car, we go inside your side door pocket.
Hello, yes, the crumpled receipt with gum in it. From your anniversary dinner, you sprang for expensive wine, your server was Beth. That dinner was a couple $100. Money you could get back if you switched to Geico and saved hundreds of dollars on your car insurance. I bet you'd save that receipt. Frame it even. But really, where did I go wrong? Was it the corkage fee?
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit geico.com today.
The best of Mike and Mike.
Mike and Mike.
It is Mike and Mike, Dari Nowkhah, Mike Golic, and this is the day. We have one every year. Today, I think tomorrow, too, SEC coaches do the car wash. This is the first stop, I'm assuming, for LSU head football coach Les Miles. They'll continue throughout the day. As you well know, Les Miles joining us now. I just got to see a few days ago down in Hoover at SEC Media Days, which is always wild. You only have to go one day. Of course, most of us are there for 4. But the questions just kept on going about the quarterback position. I know I talked to you about it, and we heard you on it. But Brandon Harris, Anthony Jennings, where do you sit in the confidence level of whoever it's going to be that wins that job?
I like both guys. They're both improved. They're we started with no experience, and now these guys have developed and understand how to snap, cadence, stem, and function the offense. So and they're much better. So we're looking forward to the fall.
We were talking a lot about as NFL camps set to begin, rookies get set to report, of how different NFL camps now are. And I'm trying not to sound like the back when I played type of camp it was, but they're just different. In no 2 padded practices back to back. It's just helmets for a second practice. Where are you with the college and the preparation? Because you guys have no preseason. So while we're erring more on the side of safety now in football all the way down to the lowest level, where are colleges as far as that is concerned in dealing with the start of fall camp?
Yeah, we never go a consecutive 2 a day in a row. We'll never practice outside in 2 practices in a row. So it's I think we have 2 two-a-days in our entire 2-a-day schedule. What we've tried to do is go about 6 practices and give them a day off. And, a 2-a-day, a practice schedule that involves mostly 1-a-days, and then that 6th one, give them a day off.
They, for some reason, give the media the opportunity to predict the order of finish, Les, as you well know. Les Miles joining us here. We never get it right. But you all still, despite the question at quarterback, were picked 3rd in the West behind Alabama and Auburn. That's the one position people question. Is there another area? Where on your football team do you say, this is where I need to see the most improvement over fall practice before we get going in the games?
We continue to be consistent at the quarterback spot and the receiving side. Mm-hmm. I think that's really the mark, and I'm very optimistic there. I think consistency throughout. I think there's a bunch of teams right now in America who are saying, I have this, I have that, and we're no different. We're just a talented team, young team, but with the opportunity to achieve.
Everything looks good at 0-0, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, and what did you think last year, first year of the playoffs? How do you think that all went? If you were to kind of look at it overall and think maybe how they could tweak it, how did you think it all went?
I think the first one was great. I think it's what the American public wanted. It's I think they got the right teams in it. It was interesting to see an Ohio State team dominate as well as and play as well as they did in the back end. Considering the quarterback, the numbers of quarterbacks that they used to win with. I liked it. We won in. That's the issue is to get LSU in that.
So along those lines, and I know scheduling is done in advance, but when you can start controlling your scheduling, does that change right off the bat? And the one thing that's tough is there's no preseason games, so sometimes you schedule a lesser school teams do to kind of get warmed up a bit. Does that have to change now because every game is so important, especially when 13 people are getting together after week whatever it is to decide the Final Four?
Yeah, I think your body of work is awfully important. Just looking at the SEC and realizing who you have to play, whether you're from the East or from the West, I think you're in really good shape to argue, if you're the champion of our conference, that you deserve to be in the playoffs, period.
Les Miles, LSU head football coach, joining us here in studio. The SEC Media Days is wild. It's a zoo, and we always, and it's easy to get into that mix in Hoover, Alabama, and say, wow, nothing has been lost. This conference is as good as ever. The outsiders like to throw barbs and say, wait a minute now, they didn't win the national title last couple of years. You've been in this league coming up now on 11 seasons. This is year number 11 for you. Where is the SEC now as a whole compared to what you remember when you came in?
I think it's stronger. I think the Western Division certainly, really top to bottom, is as good as there is. There was a point in time where several of those schools could not necessarily compete with the higher end. I think, across the top. Mm-hmm. I think the teams that have their own school, have their own geographic recruiting area, that have real quality coaches and quality players, they compete with everybody. So it's exciting.
Also in the SEC, you're dealing every year with every player and coach wants to believe you prepare for every game and win every game. But from a fan standpoint, it's like you deal with unrealistic expectations every single year. Right?
Yeah.
If you play 12 games, you're supposed to be 15-0.
Yeah,
magically you're supposed to have 3 more wins.
There's no question that's true. But the reality of it is you went to school in college where those expectations were you tried to play to those. We try to exceed ours. It's a wonderful thing. Certainly when we show up in Tiger Stadium, it's 102,000 who believe very firmly that these Tigers are fixing to wear somebody out. And we kind of enjoy that. We'll play to that as often as we can. The conference, if you just take care of your business, if you can hold serve and win, you'll be where you need to be in the back end.
Golic asked you, Les, about the playoff scenario and how well it went. You said, we just got to get LSU in. And my hunch is you'll get into plenty of these. But even if they're not just 4, if you go to 8, and I'm only asking this because the league in which you play, and there's some that'll say they'll beat each other up and the winner might have 2 losses and might not get in. Does that make a case for more teams? What would be the perfect number of playoff teams if it were up to you?
I think that they'll stay with this format for a couple of years and then say, okay, let's add 2. Let's see what the 2 look like. And I think it has to be done with these things in mind. It still is about a college education. You cannot just run a playoff through a educational format that doesn't allow that student athlete to prepare to get his degree. And that will always be in play a very significant piece in those decisions. So I think what they've done thus far is gone slowly through this. I could see a 10 team at some point in time. I think down the road, just considering the schedule, whatever they can get figured will work.
I'm in agreement. I think it'll go to 8 for sure. We'll see if it goes to more than that, but I think in time it absolutely will do that. Well, enjoy your time here today. I see you brought your daughter Smacker, who's a swimmer at UT. My daughter swam against her at an invitational last year. That's a sport. Let me tell you what, that makes football look easy when they're practicing for swimming.
Excellence in swimming is a different bar. I mean, you're fighting, start to finish for qualifying times to be in the biggest meets and they only take 2 to the Olympics.
Yep.
I mean, it's a tremendous sport.
It's a great sport.
The discipline in and of itself prepares people for so much.
Can always tell who they are because they end up going up to class smelling like chlorine because it's swim in the morning.
Which is better than a lot of us probably smell, actually.
That's true.
Les Miles, you said UT. Is that Texas or Tennessee? Because in the SEC,
No.
It's Texas.
Yeah,
Texas. Sorry. Texas.
It was worth the question just to get the reaction.
You just got shut down.
Yeah. I know that at some point when we see Butch Jones, it's not going to be Texas. That's UT.
That's correct.
All right. So, Smacker, good to see you. Sorry, your team's going to go down a game no one against Notre Dame this year.
Oh,
how about that? I got to talk a little smack.
Little singer.
Woo!
It's a good time to get Texas.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Les, thank you for stopping by.
Thanks.
Continue on with your tour.
Mike and Mike.
As we bring in the head coach of the Alabama Crimson Tide.
Coach, how you doing this morning?
Doing great. How you guys doing?
Doing well. You know, I want to ask something kind of based off what we're seeing at the Open with this guy Paul Dunn, the amateur who was leading, and we were wondering how he was going to start his round, and he started with a bogey when everybody is birdieing it. The equation I'll try and make is when you have a true freshman, and you've had, you know, certainly a lot in your day who are great players and play right away, and in a big game or a big moment, do you see a difference in them? Do you have to talk to them more? Do you see their eyes get a little bit wider that you have to talk them down some?
Well, I think it's all about mindset. You know, when people have expectations or they start thinking of focusing on the wrong things relative to outcomes instead of process-oriented, this is what I have to do to execute, you know, it creates a lot of anxiety when you worry about what's going to happen, you know, in this round rather than just focusing on, you know, each shot in the round. And it sounds simple, but it's pretty complicated and it's hard to do. And the younger you are, I think the harder it is to do. So it's a great story for that young man, and we're all rooting for him. I can tell you that.
Yeah, it's what guys are doing to that course right now. It's just unbelievable. Nick Saban, Alabama head coach, joining us via the Subway Fresh Take Hotline. Coach, I just got to chat with you a few days ago in Hoover at the SEC Media Days. Always good to talk with you. And I know that your team, from a returning starter experience on offense, is going to be relatively young. Where is an area, we know about quarterback and the ongoing competition, where is another area that you say to yourself, I really want to see this develop over the first couple of weeks of fall camp before we get into games?
You know, how you do up front makes it a lot easier for the quarterback, the skill guys, the runners, the receivers, and everyone else. And, you know, we've got a couple of really good players returning, but we've also got, you know, 3 or 4 other guys that are competing for positions, and, you know, how they do, I think, will help the rest of our offensive players play well. So if there was one position that would be not a concern, but, you know, something we'd like to see develop nicely, it would be the offensive line.
How quickly do players that come into your program understand the expectations, you know, the championships you won, and I'll block out 2012. We won't speak of that one. But that they know kind of what they're entering, and is it sometimes unrealistic expectations?
I think the big thing, Mike, is to get people to, you know, focus on the right things, focus on what they need to do to be good players at their position, to be complete players at their position, and again, not worry about outcomes. And you know, this has been, you know, a tough thing to manage when you have a lot of success. You know, people get a little complacent, and you're always fighting complacency in your organization. I'm not talking about just the players. I'm talking about coaches, people that work there. You start taking things for granted. You don't remember, you know, how you got there and what you did that made you what you were. And it's all about the identity that you create. And, you know, football is a tough game for tough people, you know, mental and physical toughness, playing with lots of effort, discipline to execute. You know, those kind of intangible things go a long way when you play in big games to, you know, sort of get you over the hump. So, and sometimes people forget how important those are when you're having success. So that's been a challenge. I really like the group we have this year, though. And, you know, even when we recruit a guy, I'd say, hey, I don't want you to commit to Alabama. I want you to commit to all the things we're going to do here to help you be successful personally, academically, and athletically. And I want you to focus on those things and develop into, you know, something that's going to be special, you know, in the future. And, you know, I don't know if it works with all of them, but it does change your approach some.
Nick Saban joining us, Subway Fresh Take Hotline, Dari Nowkhah and Mike Golic. Nick, you get asked about everything. On the field, off the field, at media days, you're asked about draft eligibility date, the Confederate flag coming down in South Carolina, what should happen in Mississippi. Reminder, you, of course, live in Alabama, but you're still asked about all of these things, cost of attendance, you name it. You answer the questions the way you feel, and then you hear somebody or several people say, well, he was making an excuse for what happened against Ohio State. Does it make you not want to answer those types of questions anymore? What do you think when you hear that, when you're answering what you're asked?
Well, I'm going to continue to try to answer the questions because I think it's, we want to be honest. And, the questions that I answered about the draft were asked by someone on NFL Network, had nothing to do with the Ohio State game, and no different than the baseball coaches, that were saying, why are we having a major league draft at the same time we're playing in the College World Series? So, it is what it is. I'm not worried about, the bit of criticism. We've always taken responsibility for what our team does, and we certainly do in terms of what happened in the Ohio State game. Ohio State played extremely well. They had a great team. Probably better than a lot of people thought, and they won the championship because of it, and their coaching staff and Urban did a great job, and we didn't play our best in that game, and that's our responsibility. That's my responsibility. It has nothing to do with how I answered a question about the draft, so a little surprised that people put those together, but, it happens.
Yeah, it certainly does. And when we have more time, we certainly can expound upon that because it's absolutely worthy of a conversation. But as you're getting ready for a season, we do appreciate your time this morning. I know you're doing a lot of these. So best of luck to this year, and I'm sure we'll talk to you during the season at some point, Nick. Thanks.
Great, guys. Appreciate you, man. Thank you very much.
This has been the best of Mike and Mike on ESPN Radio Pod Center. To hear more from Mike and Mike, log on to ESPNRadio.com and become an ESPN Radio Insider.
The best of Mike and Mike.